I'm so happy to welcome you to the Monastery of St. Catherine's here on Mount Sinai. This is the oldest continually inhabited Christian monastery in the world and has been preserved throughout history for 17 centuries. And it predates any divisions in the Christian faith. In fact, it was made around a place where people would pray, which was the place of the burning bush. Helen, who built many things in the Holy Land, also built a small chapel here that was eventually replaced by a large basilica built by Justinian in the 6th century. At the beginning, the monastery was referred to as the Holy Virgin. Why is that? Because the revelation of God at the burning bush was seen as a type of the Virgin Mary and the Incarnation. The monastery is also dedicated to, obviously, Moses and Elijah, who both came to this mountain, and they both spoke with Christ at the Transfiguration, which is the beautiful mosaic in the chapel. And most recently, the name is St. Catherine's Monastery because of Catherine's relics right here. This is an incredible place. Right now, it is a Greek Orthodox monastery, also giving testimony to the roots that at that time, the Christian world spoke Greek. And so that's why Greek is still spoke here today. Now I want to tell you that the library in this monastery is filled with spiritual treasures. Of course, the most important spiritual treasures are the saints who have been here in Sinai. In fact, there's 70 canonized saints that are honored by the church in this area. But the library has so many treasures as well. Manuscripts, early printed books, they're all in the library, and they're celebrated throughout the world because of their antiquity and their importance, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But the monastery is filled also with icons, some of the most important collection of pre-iconoclastic panel icons. That means made on wooden panels, and they were never destroyed or defaced, as would happen with the iconoclastic heresy. So what a wonderful place to be. Let's go in and speak to one of the English-speaking monks here. He's actually an American monk named Father Justin. Why would the Lord have sent an American to a Greek Orthodox monastery? I mean, seriously, he had some amazing
to save his soul.
Yes, for sure.
In 1900, the only way to get here was a camel. People would go to Suez, they would organize a caravan with guides and porters, and it was 8 days down the coast, 1 day to Faran, 1 day to Sinai. 10 days from Suez.
10 days.
And I was amazed when Ajiri came here in the 4th century.
Isn't that remarkable?
It was 10 days from Suez.
Really the same?
So for 1700 years, it remained a 10-day trek.
Oh my goodness.
And now you can do it in 5 hours. You have the toll road. Let me take you into the next room where the manuscripts. We had Greek ministers here yesterday, and we're going to have a special group here tomorrow. So I've just left out the manuscripts that I brought out for the ministers. I could show you those, and we could talk about the library here, and then we can come back and continue the conversation if you'd like.
May I?
Now, I took out 4 manuscripts for important visitors who were here yesterday, and I left them out on purpose to be able to show you as well.
Oh, I'm so
excited. Let me show you these, and then you can include these in your presentation.
Oh, wonderful. This is just beautiful. I almost don't even want to breathe close to them, you know.
I'll open them chronologically.
Okay.
This is a copy of the Psalter.
Oh, wow.
And it's written in parallel Greek and Arabic.
Look at that.
This dates from the 9th century. We know that Arab rule came here in the year 630. So that's early 7th century. By the 8th and 9th century, in Palestine and in Syria, Christians are speaking Arabic as their native language. And there was the need to have the scriptures translated into Arabic and the services translated into Arabic. This dates from the 9th century, so it was part of that program to translate everything into Arabic. And this is very, very significant because it's written in 2 languages. It's parallel Greek and Arabic.
That's just amazing.
So it shows speakers of Greek and speakers of Arabic living in the same place, needing a manuscript to cater to both. And it's the Psalms of David. the Greek at the time was written in all capital letters with no word separations.
That's the tough Greek, yes.
And the Arabic was written in Cufic letters, sometimes with very few points. So it's not, neither one is easy to read. I think the Greek is easier to read if a person knows the Psalms. But it's so beautiful at an artistic level to see Cufic Arabic.
Which do you mean?
And you can see where the skin was damaged when they were shaving it down to make the parchment.
Yes.
And so as not to waste it, they stitched it together and then
those
just
are
wrote
stitches.
around the stitches.
Oh, that's incredible. Which psalm is this? Can you read it?
41.
Psalm 41.
See, the Greeks use letters for numbers.
Oh, there you go. Oh, yes, of course. Nice.
But the Psalter that we read in church today is the Septuagint, which is translated by the Jews 300 years before Christ, and that's still the liturgical text that we use in the Orthodox Church today. So you could take a 9th century manuscript, read it in the services, if you had the ability to read the Greek,
Yes, yeah.
and no one would know that you're reading a 9th century manuscript. So that's an incredible
fabulous.
example of continuity.
Yes. In fact, I remember reading once that was one of the attractions that you had.
That's right.
Yes, I remember that very well.
Now, the next thing I'd like to show you is,
Look at that case, the cover is just beautiful.
this is called lectionary. It is the Gospels divided up for reading in the church.
So there you go.
What do you read the third Sunday after Easter? It's all divided up, and it's divided up so that you read the entire 4 Gospels in sequence through the liturgical year.
Sounds familiar.
This is open to the beginning of the passages from the Gospel of Luke, and on the left you have a very, very beautiful illumination of St. Luke. You see the curved knife for smoothing the parchment, and then there's a compartment for holding the quills, and red ink and black ink. Those are the traditional colors, and he's poised, beginning to write his Gospel.
These letters look like they're written also in gold.
The
Is that
first
right?
page is all in gold, with a very, very beautiful frame. You see
Beautiful.
a fountain, you see birds, you see peacocks, you even see little greyhounds.
Oh.
So these are emblems of an idyllic garden that surround the title. After that, the title and the
Oh.
opening initial are made in gold, but the words are written with brown ink, and the red that you see is musical notation. Because
Oh,
the Gospels in
sure.
a resonant acoustic are more clear if you intone them and not just read them in a spoken voice.
Beautiful.
So this is a very ancient system for the intonation of the Gospels. And you can see candle marks, you can see finger marks,
Can I touch
which is
it? Can I
which is
lift
all
my finger?
signs that it was actually used. It wasn't just
Oh, this is very, yeah, you certainly, can I also
Yes.
use it? I'm going to touch it. Okay.
this is parchment, which is made
Yes.
from animal skins, calf
very
skin
durable.
or sheep skin. It's very durable. This is over 1,000 years old, and it's fresh and it's new. And you
That's
think
incredible.
that the digital photographs we're taking today, where will they be in 1,000 years? We
Yes,
don't know.
yes.
We hope they're still around. We don't know, because the technology is always shifting and always changing, and you have to update everything. It's called migration.
But this is wonderful to have in the
this-
hard copy as well,
yes.
obviously. This is just lovely. So this is also, this wouldn't have been produced here probably, right?
No, very few illuminated manuscripts were made here at Sinai. Sinai was the poor monastery at the edge of the world. To make a manuscript like this, you need quality parchment, you need gold leaf, you need pigments, and the pigments came from many different parts of the world.
Sure.
So this was in Constantinople. They had the artisans
Yeah.
and the clientele to commission such beautiful manuscripts.
Would this one would have been from some of the monasteries in Syria, perhaps?
Or it could have been written here.
This one, because it's not illuminated,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, it also
And-
has
and-
the Arabic, of course.
Locally, there would have been a need for Greek and Arabic together.
Makes sense. Beautiful.
The third manuscript that I'd like to show you is a copy of the most important manuscript written here. There was an abbot here in the late 6th and early 7th
That is
century
just beautiful.
named John, and because he wrote a manuscript called the Ladder, he's called
This is St. John
of the Ladder.
Clinico. Look at this. Yes.
And this is the most illuminated manuscript that we have.
This
There-
is so exciting.
There are 30 steps in the ladder, and for every step there's an illumination, and some of the steps are very lengthy, and so there are intermediate illuminations. So there's about over 40 illuminations in this manuscript.
Would that be
And this
him?
is my favorite because it shows a beautiful border with shades of blue
Yes.
and the gold and highlights in red, and it shows monks standing in prayer and Christ blessing
Yeah.
above. And on the side, you see the Virgin Mary. She's standing on a footstool,
Yeah.
and the three monks are venerating her. She has her hands outstretched in prayer, and Christ blesses the monks. And everything is so tiny, but
Yes.
it's so exact.
So would this be one that he may have actually written? Or it was written when he was the abbot, probably?
No, this is 12th century.
Okay, so many
But-
hundreds of
but-
years after.
But there's a possibility it was made here.
That's amazing.
We don't know for sure.
So
But
wonderful.
it is a possibility, and it would have been an appropriate manuscript to make here at such a high artistic level.
So this is actually a copy of the letter.
We have leaves that date from within 100 years of St. John himself. Unfortunately, we don't have the original manuscript. We wish we did.
Now, the illuminated one that's in the museum, is that from... That's from...
In the museum, we
yes.
have the oldest surviving leaves, which date from 100 years of St. John. We have a Greek manuscript with the latter added in the margin.
Okay.
And we have an Arabic translation that was made in 1612. And it has a traditional depiction of the ladder with Christ at the top, but it's all in the Persian style.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
it's very, very interesting.
Okay. Wonderful.
And the last thing I'd like to show you is another copy of the Four Gospels.
Oh, wow.
This was written in Crete
Oh, wow. Yes.
by
Yes.
an artist who did both the calligraphy and the illumination.
Look at that.
His name was Ioannis Rossos. And if you Google his name, you'll see an extensive record on him, because this is a manuscript of the Four Gospels that he made when he was a young man on his native Crete. But then the later 1400s is when they were trying to further the knowledge of Greek and establishing libraries in Florence and many other important places where they had manuscripts of the classical texts. And so he left Crete, went to Italy, spent the rest of his life writing manuscripts of classical texts for important patrons, including Cardinal Vissarion.
Oh, interesting.
And
Okay.
today in the British Library, some of their most beautiful manuscripts of the Iliad and the Odyssey are written by the same scribe.
Isn't that interesting?
But this
Well,
is-
if you look at this, it looks very...
This is
Yeah.
a work that he did as a young man on his native Crete, and then he spent the rest of his life writing manuscripts for wealthy patrons in Italy.
But you said he was a
you
monk.
can see that
Yeah.
he also did the illuminations. They're in a softer style than the Byzantine illuminations.
Yes, I was going to say it looks very, quite honestly, it looks very Italian in the way that it's made.
He had a beautiful script, and many times in the margins, he would use the margin to make a flourish.
Oh, wow.
And it's a joy to read these texts because they're written with such expertise.
Oh, they're just gorgeous. It is really beautiful. This is
So
beautiful.
those are the four things I'd like to show you.
Thank you. It's kind of exciting to be the librarian here.
Well, we have relied on the expertise of many experts who've come here and given us advice. One of the big questions was, should we make an artificial climate? Most people say it's too dry here, we should put humidifiers, raise the humidity levels. But then when we gave that serious thought, people were saying it would have been a big mistake if you had done that, because it's changes that cause deterioration, and where they have been for centuries under natural conditions, just keep them under natural conditions.
That's very
Because
good.
what we find here is that the fatal combination is high heat and high humidity. And when it's hotter in the summer, we have about 20% humidity. And when it rains in the winter, it's cold. So the heat and the humidity are always moving in opposite directions. And that's why by nature we have excellent climate for the preservation of the manuscripts.
So you could say that these are your four favorites in a certain way.
Well, there are many favorites, but these are four. They're definitely favorites.
Now, the Bible that's in the museum, the sheet, well, the parchment, I think, of the Greek Biblicus Sinaiticus,
Yes.
that is the only one of two sheets that are still here.
No,
the rest, or 'cause I know the whole tragic story of how that was taken away.
It was all
That
here until
tragic.
1844, and then it began to be dispersed because of Constantine Tischendorf. Today, 18 leaves are here and
18.
40 fragments. We have leaves in Leipzig, the University Library. Some are still in St. Petersburg.
Mm-hmm.
The manuscript was taken to St. Petersburg in 1859 so that they could publish it with the original there for consultation on the promise that it be returned.
Yeah.
And once it was published, it was the oldest Bible known at the time. Even today, it's still the oldest complete New Testament. It became sensational.
Yep.
And some people in Russia said, we're obligated to return this. Others people, including the emperor, said, let's not be too hasty.
Exactly.
It was never returned.
Yes.
In 1933, when Stalin was desperate for money, he offered it to England. They raised what was at that time a colossal amount of money. It's one of the great treasures of the British Library.
Right. Bring them over,
in
convince them.
2003, we decided to set aside our differences over the history of the manuscript to cooperate, and then we conserved and we photographed them, all the existing leaves and fragments, and the result was that everything is today on the internet and can be read by anyone. And the officials of the British Library said in their experience, even if you have everything on the internet, people still want the facsimile. So we published a quality facsimile, but we kept all the processes, machine process, to keep the price low. So people can buy a facsimile of the Codex Sinaiticus in this massive, very, very heavy volume for $500,
Wow.
which is achievable for small libraries and
Of
serious
course.
scholars.
I'm sure that the monks here in the monastery pray for all of the pilgrims, including future pilgrims and virtual pilgrims. So we'll count on those prayers, Father Justin. Thank you so much. Thank you.